I grew up loving Duke Nukem, but as I got older, it finally occurred to me how Duke Nukem represents what weak and infantile boys think of as masculinity, and how Doom encapsulates what real masculinity is. Before I explain, I just want to rest assured that I actually do still like Duke Nukem a lot. In many ways, it's funny. In many ways, it's interesting. In many ways, it's just good for a laugh, and it's a good single-player first-person shooter experience. Both the old stuff, and there's some redeeming qualities about the newer Duke Nukem. But when it comes to his character, when it comes to the motif, the theme, you can't deny that that's a big part of what was the appeal, or lack of appeal, of it. He's arrogant, he's in it for himself, he's there because it's about his glory, and it's about his ego, it's about his sense of, I'm on a mission to release captured babes. They're damsels to be won, they're trophies, and I have big muscles, and I have lots of guns, and it's about me showing those off and saying cool things and feeling gratified doing it. By contrast, with Doom Guy, the reason why it shows what real masculinity is because it's not about him. He doesn't care about his ego. We don't even really, in Doom 2016, know his name. He's not trying to show how big and bad he is. He just gets the job done. It's not about being gleeful in violence for violence sake, but it's about being thirsty for actual justice, and that can involve vengeance against actual evil. So we do have glory kills, but not for his glory, not for his ego, but for the glory of justice itself, for the glory of destroying that which is evil. So it doesn't have to be violent. In fact, you can completely encapsulate real masculinity without any violence at all. But he's not afraid of it either. He's there to do what's necessary, and his anger is righteous, but it's not about his own ego being wounded. Sure, people have wronged him. It's clear that the demons wronged him. We hear as much. But what we notice is that the first time he gets truly angry is when he realizes just how many civilian casualties there have been because of the meddling around and the foolish, amoral, scientific work, if you can call it that, of the corporation there, and of the work extracting the energy, essentially from hell itself. There is a desire to not compromise and twist words and mince words when it comes to right and wrong. That's also a big part about true masculinity. That with Duke Nukem, it's not about morality and right and wrong. It's about my babes versus what you did against me. It's the childish, he hit me first, not what's right and what's wrong here. There's a childish nature that goes into what boys think masculinity is, which is violence for violence sake rather than violence when necessary to do what is right, out of real righteous anger. And real true masculinity, as encapsulated by Doom and the Doom character, is about him not even wanting to have glory. It's clear he's not in it to make conversation. He's about fewer unnecessary words when it's time for action, and that's a big part of it. It's about action, not words. So you notice he doesn't have clever catchphrases. He doesn't say anything, really. Unlike my cat. He doesn't have any kind of need to show himself off. What he does do is he gets the job done, and he doesn't compromise when he knows what's at stake and he knows what matters. And yet at the same time, he's not insecure. Now, this is all clearly just a side effect, a side element of the game itself. They weren't setting out to make the game thinking, how can we show off true masculinity? That's just a part of having a genuine kind of hero who is so pure, he almost comes across as impure. He is incorruptible, and part of that incorruptibility is a kind of selflessness. We literally don't even see his face. You can't get much more selfless in a literal sense than that. But they were just setting out to make a great game, I believe, and they did it. And it's a truly great game, and that also, of course, skews my perception, is that it's just a better game. But part of being a better game is knowing exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to make this character be this epitome of incorruptible, and as I see it, masculine, genuine masculine energy. And part of genuine masculine energy involves the lack of insecurity that makes other men feel the need to puff out their chest and bang their chest and say, look how manly I am. This is what a real man does. You notice he never says, this is how a real man acts. And further, man, dude, you gotta wait 10 minutes for dinner, man. Sorry. So, insecure, fake masculinity, as I see it, is about needing to say, I'm the biggest, baddest person in the room. I'm the winner here. Everyone else is losers behind me. There's a competitive streak in fake masculinity that's competitive for one's own ego. Whereas with real masculinity, as I see it, again, it's not about showing you're the baddest. It's about being willing to do what is right and what is necessary, and not caring about anything else, including what people think. I also want to point out that there doesn't have to be some kind of, polar opposites between masculinity and femininity. A lot of positive qualities of true positive masculinity and true positive femininity, I'm saying that wrong, could overlap completely. Lots of them could. There doesn't, and again, that's part of what I'm talking about. It doesn't have to be a competition. There can be good and bad of multiple things. And there could be overlap in both the good parts and the bad parts. And that's something that a lot of people who are insecure and talk a big talk about being masculine, about being manly, they're constantly thinking they have to be at war with the feminine, or that feminine is weaker, or feminine is better, and put it up on a pedestal, or smack it down, and etc. It doesn't have to be like that. They don't think in terms of this stupid, simplistic me versus you. Real masculinity involves that call to action, and that call to action involves just understanding what's right, doing what's right, and what's necessary, and doing what's necessary without any kind of stupid pissing contest. And that's how you can tell someone who has genuine masculine energy versus someone who's faking it. The people who are faking it are always looking for an excuse to have some kind of stupid pissing contest. So I'm just using Duke Nukem and Doom as just kind of examples, just as frames of reference for this. That's not their main point. They're not trying to do this. I still like Duke Nukem for what it is, and I still love Doom as primarily a game, not a case study in all this sort of sociological or psychological or whatever you want to call it arena. But it's a good frame of reference for me. And that's my opinion. That's my view. But what do you see? How do you see it? To you, what is a good example of genuine, real masculine energy?